friends, how are you? Welcome to another program of Changing Tracks. Today we have Amanda with us on the show. Hello, Amanda.
Hi, Christine.
So could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, yes. My name is Amanda Grace, and I come from Ardfinnan in the county of Tipperary in Ireland. And I'm one of 6 children. My mum, Hilda, and my dad, Stephen Grace, and I'm second last in the family. And so I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers, and that's my family.
Did you grow up in a Catholic family? Did your parents practice the faith?
Sure. Well, my dad certainly would have been a very committed man to, I suppose, the spiritual way of living. He is blind, and I think for him, he found a lot of strength and hope in his faith, and it has carried him through where he is today. He often went to Medjugorje and prayed, and he has travelled the world since he's been blind, and I know that God was very much at the centre of all his travels and all his kind of woes, I guess, as well, with what comes with being blind, and having 6 children.
So you could say that growing up, the faith was something important for you?
It was, to be honest, and I guess for me where it began was Our Lady. She was in the home. My dad was a part of the Legion of Mary, and it was there I was introduced, I guess, to her as to who she was, and I always had a beautiful resonance with her, and I used to be captivated by her shawl, that beautiful blue shawl that she used to have. And in my own times and in my own struggles as a child, I used to ask her to wrap her shawl around me and to keep me safe and mind me and protect me. And every time I called on her to do that, she did it. And I began to kind of witness Our Lady kind of in all of my life. I used to, relate to her in the sun, in the moon. I would see her with me all of the time as a child, and I prayed to her quite often when I was small.
And as a family, did you ever pray together, like the rosary or something?
Incidentally, Dad wouldn't have prayed the rosary in the family, but I do recall a time in one of my darkest times inviting the entire family to come and pray the rosary. And that's where I guess where my strength and my protection came from, was by praying the rosary. And in fairness to my family, they came down to support me in that and join their hands together and pray the rosary, when I needed them most.
As a teenager, how did you live the faith? Did it help you out in your daily life? Did you ever have any doubts or desire to leave it to the side?
Yeah, I guess I remember when my faith was most, once again, it came to me in a time of need. And I remember, I struggled quite often with anxiety and low levels of fear. And in school in particular, I thought I had to be the best in the class. I was quite, a perfectionist. And I was daunted in 5th year, because we had this leaving cert to do, for 2 years. And I remember being so physically ill about that I couldn't go to school for 7 weeks. And I recall in that time going to Mass every single morning, just going for that message, going for that hope, going for that protection, I guess, and I found that in the Mass, and that kind of stayed with me, I guess, through all my difficulties in getting through the leaving cert, and then I guess, life took over. I went to college after school, and I always wanted to become a teacher. When I was small, I used to pretend, my teddy bears were my students, and the vocation of being a teacher was always there. That calling was always there, and I studied in UCC in Cork to become that teacher.
So you went off to study in the university. How did that go for you? Did you get lost in the party scene, or perhaps were you able to stay focused on your studies?
In ways and at times, of course, yeah, I certainly did. But it wasn't the centre of my being, I guess, you know. And I say one of the reasons was because, you know, I actually couldn't afford to go out and party as much as maybe some other people, you know. I did have, you know, a weekend job, and that kind of went towards paying for it, you know. So, and there was, you know, certainly a few nights where, you know, there was lots of fun and wildness and all of that, but I knew inside because that it wasn't for me, because before any night out I would be extremely anxious. I never felt, I guess, a part of that scene really, you know. And I suppose it did look attractive, you know, in my 20s for a while, and it worked for a while, but then it stops working, doesn't it, you know. And that's where I found alcohol, I guess, you know. And I guess I turned to it in times of trouble, in times of despair.
Is that when you met your boyfriend?
That's it. And we were in a relationship, and by the grace of God, they blessed me with a child in that relationship very early. You know, I was 22, I was training to be a teacher, and I was blessed with a child. And, you know, my son Ronan, you know, was gifted to me around that time. And looking back, I guess I was quite young, you know, and inexperienced. And but I have to say, you know, the first time I saw my beautiful child, I really saw God's work and God's wonder and awe in this precious baby that was given to me, that came from me. You know, I was so blessed to be trusted by the Lord, you know, by this beautiful baby boy that He gave me, Ronan.
So you got pregnant, but you really saw that it was truly a blessing to have a child. Were you able to finish your studies at that time?
Yes, and I guess that's where God came in, you know, and assisted me to do that, because I know that I could not do that on my own, do you know? So, and Our Lady was there every step of the way too.
Okay, so you finished school. You have your boyfriend, your son. What happened next? Did you find a job teaching?
Yeah, so I suppose I hit the ground running as a teacher, you know. I was so excited and enthusiastic to be that, and it took over really, you know. I became that kind of working mom, and I dedicated a lot of my time and love to teaching, you know, and it just took over, and life takes over, you know, and coupled with a few losses, you know, along the way. I suffered 3 miscarriages consecutively in that relationship also, and that began the darkness and the despair set in with those losses.
Did your work stress you out?
To begin with, I enjoyed it, but towards the end, you know, for me, I wanted the student to have their kind of their experience of learning to be not an isolating one, but a cooperative, you know, way of learning. And I wanted the student to experience learning in a positive sense, you know. But unfortunately, I guess our system, you know, it's very much points driven, and it's quite dense and heavy, and, you know, sometimes, you know, you can lose the student in all of that, you know, and that definitely didn't rest easy in my soul, you know. And I needed to take time out because I was burnt up towards the end, you know.
And later on in your life, how was your relationship with God? Did you have a relationship with God, or since a lot had happened, were you focused on other things?
Yeah, I suppose because I was in my 20s, a lot of it was very much on self-reliance and self-will. And I thought I could do it all, you know, and I kind of relied on self, you know. And that's a very hard place to be in, actually, you know, because you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, you know. And when self-will runs riot, it's not a pretty picture, actually, do you know. And fueled by alcohol then towards the end, to cope with that life, really led me into a world of incomprehensible demoralization, do you know, whereby I developed an addiction to alcohol, and because the alcohol was doing for me what I could not do for myself, you know, and it filled that void, you know, and I was always on the outside looking to fill the hole in the soul, as they say, you know, like thinking that, you know, the love that God has for me is to be found in the worldly clamours of a house, a job, a car, the holidays, all of those things, but they're all the outside things. It's the journey within, you know, the return to love is where I found my God.
So at what point did God come in to interrupt Amanda's project and into your life? What happened?
Evidently, in the experience of trying to, I suppose, battle the demon of addiction, you know, I sought help in many places, in psychiatry, in hospitalizations, in institutions, in treatment centres, in self-help books, in the monks of Mellery, wherever, you know, I tried to find some solution, but and that's where a 12-step program assisted me in finding my God. As I understood him at the time, and the love of Our Lady. And when she revealed her love to me, I cried with joy, you know. She saved me, you know. It's like the song Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. I was once, but now I'm, you know, lost, but now I'm found, and saved a wretch like me, you know. And that's what I was towards the end of my drinking, a wretch. Do you know, it took every single thing from me.
So was there a moment when you called out to God?
Oh, for sure. And I remember it was actually to Our Lady. I begged her. I got down on my knees. And in fact, I was dying. I was choking. I was physically getting sick from the alcohol. And I could not catch my breath. And I laid my two hands on the floor. And I bowed my head and I said, I surrender. I said, Our Lady, please, I beg you, I implore you to take this obsession from me, this obsession to drink alcohol, and I will do your will for you. I said those words exactly, and she did.
Then what happened? Did you discover confession, the rosary? How did all of that come into your life?
I was always aware that the confession made me feel a bit lighter in spirit, you know, and that is her message to us, isn't it? Like, it's care. Confession, adoration, rosary, and the Eucharist. And the rosary played a vital part in my recovery. You know, I prayed the rosary for the strength to do for me what I could not do for myself, and I always got it. I always got it. It's such a powerful tool that Our Lady has blessed us with, you know, to know her love for us. Love that is, you know, so merciful.
So, through the power of the rosary, the sacrament of confession, and the Mass, you experienced healing from the alcohol addiction. It brought you a lot of inner peace, healing, but did it also give you a new way of seeing life?
Absolutely. The scales have fallen from my eyes, and I see the world as God sees it. And I see love everywhere, you know, and love is all that there is, you know. And the return to love is such a beautiful journey, you know, and the message I carry today is that, you know, is that one of a miracle. You know, I nearly died, you know, and Our Lady saved me, redeemed me to carry this message, and that's my purpose today, to carry the message to the still suffering addict, and to be a message of hope. And I can only do that for today, Christina. I can only do that for today, you know. And the Lord asks us to take it one day at a time, you know, and that's the gift I've been given for today, that I show up as Amanda. I show up as the loving Amanda, and incidentally my name means worthy of love, you know, Amanda Grace. You know, I've been graced by God's love for me and Our Lady's love for me.
So having found that seed that the Lord has planted, do you still go to the meetings?
Yeah, well, I will always continue to be a part of the fellowship, the 12-step fellowship, always and ever, because it's in there that I walk in with a message of hope.
Do you find that adoration is important in your life? That it pushes you on, giving you hope and peace?
Absolutely, and in the adoration there's a beautiful intimacy between me and Jesus. You know, he walked this earth, Our Lady walked this earth. We identify with them because, you know, Our Lady lost her only son, and the disease of addiction took my only son. So today I have that beautiful, intimate, shared human experience with Jesus and Mary, you know. But she has blessed me and graced me with her love for me. And, you know, the truth is, you know, if you knew how much I love you, you would cry with joy. And even before this, you know, today I cried with joy, you know, because it's there, and it's there for everybody, not just this alcoholic, not just this person. That love, that divine love that God has for each and every one of us is there. He's waiting. He's waiting.
Amanda, what advice would you give to those who are watching this? Whether they are young or old, those who are perhaps addicted to alcohol, or those who have had a crisis in their life, or those who are following their own life project and God isn't present in their lives. What advice would you give to help them find a solution to the problem they might have?
The solution to the problems is love. And know that you are loved. Know that you are enough. Know that God loves you, and you are created out of pure divine love, and that there is hope. God is waiting for you to call on Him to work His miracles like He has worked in me. There is a solution today. There is a 12-step program that can help you and assist you and bring you to know a God of pure divine love. And that's there for everybody. It's there for me, this addict, this hopeless fall down drunk of an addict. It has restored me to sanity, and it can restore you too.
Amanda, muchísimas gracias.
Amanda, thank you so much for joining us, for your testimony. I think it will do a lot of good helping those who have taken a different path to help them choose the right one. Thank you for being here, Amanda.
God bless you.
And thanks to all of you for being here, for choosing the right path, for choosing the project that God has for you. Because as much as we might want to follow our own path, if it's not God's work, it's not the right project. Thank you for being here with us.
Gracias por estar hoy aquí con nosotros.